to another episode of the In Love with Words podcast, where we work to eliminate the negative stereotypes that are commonly associated with hip hop. Man, I am your host, Chris D. As always, man, I'd like to welcome all of y'all to the show. Welcome you back if you're returning. Welcome you too. If it's your first time, just welcomes all around, man. I appreciate every single one of y'all for clicking the buttons and tapping in and seeing what we got going on this week. Uh, just diving right into it, man. We going over a topic today that is, man, it's highly needed but hard to gain. Um, Everybody wants it. Everybody wants it within themselves. Everybody, I believe, wants to experience it within others. But it's like I said, commonly wanted, but not always commonly attained. And that topic is of over the word trust. How to recognize what trust even is. We use that word a lot, but I don't know if we really tap into what knowing what that word truly is. Man, the song that we are going through today to put that connection with trust and try and hopefully put some enlightenment into what it means and what it can mean for your world. It comes from, it's actually a group. Man, I don't, group, band, I don't know how to, outside of hip hop, I don't know how to label them as far as just the artistry of what they are, the connection of what they are, man. Um, it comes from a song titled "You Got Me." This group has been around since, man, the early '90s, early to mid '90s for sure. I gotta be honest. I have not tapped into my hip hop bag enough to really study and know them. I just know that every time I've heard something of them, it's always been classic. It's always just been something it's meaningful. It brings out the essence of what hip hop is, and it really drives home a message of what the black community needs. But yeah, so like I said, the song that we're going over is called "You Got Me," and if y'all are any real true hip hop heads out there, if just by that title, you probably already know who I'm talking about. But as always, before we go into letting you know who it is, I'm gonna let you know who they are, and that goes by letting you know their birth given names, the names that kindergarten teacher called them. That they uncle called them at the family reunion, at the barbecue, and the cookout. And the artist that we're going to be covering out of this group today is Mr. Tariq Lukman Trotter, Ms. Eve Jahan Cooper, and Miss Erica Abi Wright. Man, and those real live people go by their artist names of Black Thought, Eve, and Mrs. Erica Badu. Black Thought is the lead. Those of y'all who don't know who he is, Black Thought is the lead vocalist to the worldwide, world renowned band known as The Roots. Man, I'm not even going into all of the members. Questlove and all them, or Amir. Oh man, I forgot his last name, but Questlove. But I'm not going into all that because we focus on the lyrics here, and I don't want to take a deep dive into all that. Um, but yeah, so the song is called "You Got Me," and I believe this is a classic hip hop song. It's definitely known around the world. It comes off of their album called Fall Apart. Things Fall Apart. It was dropped in February 23rd of 1999. And like I said, I've listened to it, but I haven't studied it. So I can't really go into it, but I will say that this song has carried me through a lot of understanding on what this topic today that we're going through. I never really realized it, but it really broke down what trust means to me, and what it really what it really means to kind of grow and develop that. So that's what we go focus on today. We go focus on three things. How do we go about developing trust? How do we maintain the trust? And then how can we defend trust? So before we even go into it, you know, as always, let's kind of break into what the word trust even means. And trust is simply broken down as it is a firm belief in the reliability, truth, ability, or strength of someone or something. So basically, I gotta believe what you're telling me. I gotta believe that what you say you gonna do, you gonna do. Who you say you are, that's who you are. That's in a nutshell what trust is. But since this is a world full of people who are always coming from whatever angle, deception is prevalent in society, in families, in just all types of environment. Honesty is sometimes hard to come by. So trust is something that it's hard to gain, and but it can also be easily broken. It can be easily broken. It could take years of building up trust, and it could take one thing, one major thing that hits, and it's like, oh, all trust has gone out of the window. Everything that I believed about you or believed about this situation, it is no more due to this just one little scenario. So in the song "You Got Me," um, like I said, we're gonna break down. This song is basically focusing on the start of a relationship from first sight, first introduction, all the way into growing into what the relationship could be, where it looks like it's going, and then the factors that sometimes trying to come in and separate or dismantle or confuse what this relationship is. It doesn't go fully into it as far as like the full blown relationship, but like I said, in regards to the word trust that we're going over today, it definitely touches deep on how to develop, maintain, and defend the trust in any relationship. So as we dive right into it, you know the the lyrics. First of all, I just gotta start reading the hook, and the hook says it all, sets the tone. It is covered by Miss Erica Badu. Fun fact: it was created really for Miss Jill Scott, but I think they went with a more well-known artist at the time. Jill Scott hadn't really broke the scene yet, so you get Miss Erica Badu. But I saw a video a while back with Jill Scott singing, it on here, and her going into her whole jazz melodic trance that she goes into when she performs, and either or the song would have been blessed. But I'm getting off track. But Miss Erica Badu, she comes in, and just the hook, the chorus alone lets you kind of realize where this song is going. And she says, "If you were worried about where I've been or who I saw or what club I went to with my homies, baby, don't worry. You know that you got me." And that's something that any fresh, brand new relationship, even some old, been around for a minute relationships, that's something that I think creeps in all the time, is that worry that, is this relationship still maintained? Is this relationship still growing? Is this something that, is it the same as what I was it is it the same as what it was in the beginning? So Erica Badu just right off the bat set the tone on what you about to get into this song. Um, it's crazy. So, like I said, it's all about Black Thought. He's overseas. He's out, I think in London or Paris, and he's performing. And ironically, he runs into a young lady who never never really connected with her before, but come to find out they knew each other before. You know, they live in it. They lived in the same building, had seen each other, and you know you've been in that situation where you see somebody that, man, I've seen you somewhere before, but you see them in a new setting, and something about that new setting, it just it brings about conversation, and y'all find out, you know, how ironic. I know you from so and so, but that's basically what happened. You know, Black Thought met this young lady, you know, while he was over in Paris performing, and they saw each other. They linked up and started talking and kind of started building a bond, and instantly they saw a connection, and it's crazy because this first line that I'm starting with is that I think whenever you meet somebody outside of your primary environment and you feel that spark, you feel that vibe, it's also kind of in the back of your mind, like, yeah, but I can't take this serious because this ain't go really mean nothing. This ain't just this ain't gonna go nowhere. We just met, you know, just happenstance or whatever. And he says this after, you know, them talking and vibing and catching connection. You know, Black Thought comes in and says, you know, we knew from the start that things fall apart and tend to shatter. She like, that shit don't matter. When I get home, get at her. Through letter, phone, or whatever. Let's link, let's get together. Shit, you think not? Think the thought went home and forgot? And that was the start of them saying, you know, even though I'm not sure how this is gonna last, how this gonna make it. You know, we know situations like this. You know, you meet somebody on vacation or whatever, and yeah, it's cool, y'all vibing, but they ain't gonna make it past this trip. Even if y'all are from the same city, same neighborhood, same block, whatever, it ain't gonna make it past that. So they was already coming in it with like, I'm feeling this, but like he said, we knew from the start things fall apart and tend to shatter. You know, this ain't gonna be much. This ain't gonna make it further than this border. But and this is how in this next line that I'm going over, he's this is how he starts to develop that trust in her. Um, he says, uh, "Oh yeah, in the line through letter, phone, whatever. Let's link. Let's get together. Shit, you think not? Think the thought went home and forgot." So basically, he went home and he followed through on that. And that's the first step in developing any type of trust. When you, especially when you're talking about an intimate relationship, when you're talking about, you know, I'm gonna use an old school term, when you're courting somebody, um, be about your word. And you know, he could have got home, he could have threw blown it off and be like, yeah, whatever, you know, that was over there. And you know, now I'm back. I ain't really trying to follow through on it, but he did. And I feel like by doing that, that put faith in her, the young lady, that okay, this might be really about something. This might really mean something. You know, he put thought in. You know, this is a song, so it didn't give no time frame on how long it was when he got back home. But I'm thinking if he overseas performing, he probably wasn't back home for another week or two, couple of weeks, and you know, for him to get back home and reach out to her and still have her on his mind, it created a good sense of, if I say I'm gonna do it, if I say I'm gonna do something, if I say I'm gonna reach out to you, that's what I'm gonna do. Because for one, I will need to be a man of my word, and I am a man of my word. But two, that's how strong of an impact our connection made on me, to where I don't care what the time frame is, I'm gonna follow up. I'm gonna pursue, you know, everything that we built overseas that we thought may have just been something or whatever. And in the final line of this bar, you can see, in the bar, in the final lines of this verse, in the first verse, you can see that, you know, by him following through and building up that connection and continuing and following through with it, they started to, they came back home and picked up like right where they left off, you know, and they starting to, you know, go out. Now I'm just painting the image based on the poetry of the song, and not going through the whole song because I want y'all to go and listen to it. I want y'all to feel the vibe if you have not already. And if you haven't already, I'm just gonna say go listen to it. That's all I'm gonna say. But in the last two bars of the first verse, you know, you can see that that bond starts to grow and grow and grow, and he ends Black Thoughts talking about started building with her constantly around the clock. Now she in my world like hip hop. They keep telling me. If you were worried about where I've been or who I saw, what club I went to with my homies, baby, don't worry, you know that you got me. Y'all know I can't sing, but I had to hit you with that right there. I had to hit you with that little melody because that's exactly what it seems like was happening, you know, as he ended that verse and it went directly into the chorus, you know. He felt like he's building something constantly around, constantly in her presence. And the line that got me to let me know that it meant like it was something real was he said, now she in my world like hip hop. And for one, any artist that's out there that's really making music, hip hop music, man, music is life. You know, that's one of the reasons why I do this podcast. Music is everything. And knowing the passion that the Roots, Black Thought, and that group have for music and hip hop lets me know if he's making that comparison to her, like she's in my world, like hip hop, that means she's in there. He's locked in with her. Ain't ain't nowhere to be gone. You know, she's there. And with Erica coming in so beautifully with that chorus, you know, if you're worried about where I've been or who I saw, you know, what club I went to with my homies, baby, don't worry, you know that you got me. That's something that when it starts to take to that next level, when the relationship starts to boom up to that, like, man, I can't see myself not being around her. I can't see myself not spending time with her. It creates that worry, it creates that concern because you don't want that feeling, first of all, to be a facade, be something fake, and two, you don't want to put all of your energy and time in something and it it not be what you thought it was. And so it does create that concern. You know, you worry if y'all spending all this time together that okay, if she do go out or if she do run across, you know, another group of people, is somebody go take her from me? You know, those once you start to grow that connection, it starts to build that thought. Um, but once again, by staying consistent, by being, you know, saying what you're gonna do, by being a man or a woman of your word, you develop that trust. And as much as those thoughts might try to keep creep in, that trust that's being built will help eliminate some of those thoughts and put you back in a calm state of mind. So, just real briefly, that's where they went with developing that trust. They went, Black Thought, like I said, kept his word. He reached back out to her when once they got back to the States, once they got back to America, they started kicking it, they started vibing, and man, boom, she in this world like hip hop. She down like, you know, 10 toes to the ground. And but the second verse is where it really, really comes in. Like this is where the difficult I think the difficult part of being in a relationship, and this is any type of relationship, but particularly in a romantic, intimate, you know, um, lover type relationship, is maintaining that trust. What do you have to do to maintain that trust? And Black Thought comes in the first two bars and he says, yo, I'm the type that's always catching a flight, and sometimes I gotta be out at the height of the night. And I call it, hearing that line, it made me think of what's called, I don't know if it's really called this, but I made it up in my mind, but the Mike Tyson syndrome, you know, he, he was like, I'm always catching a flight. I got to be out sometimes in the heat of the night. You know, that's my career. That's what I do. I'm an entertainer. I'm out. I'm moving around, and I call it the Mike Tyson syndrome because that's how it was with Iron Mike. You know, y'all know the history of Mike Tyson and Robin Givens. You know, they got married, whatever, woo de woo, and he was right back into the ring and training like within a matter of months and never really got the opportunity to kind of settle and build that connection that was needed in order for their relationship to grow. And y'all all know what happened with that marriage and with that relationship. Um, but the crazy thing is that sometimes when you're chasing greatness, that conflict is going to be created because a part of being in a relationship is spending that time together, is devoting that energy to each other. And if you have the type of career that does not really allow you to cultivate that the way it's needed, it can get real difficult. Um, and that's where you hear Eve coming in right after he mentions, he got to be out in the height of the night. She say, "Seems like I'm on the side. You only loving your mic. I know you got to get that paper, daddy. Keep that shit tight. But yo, I need some sort of love in my life. You dig me?" And that's where, and I can only speak from the male point of view because that's the point of view I have. But that's what makes it difficult because you want to give your lady that time. You want to give your lady all that devotion. But it's like I'm out here trying to make a living so that we can have the things that we need so we can spend more time together. And it's tough because it's like, do I not devote my energy towards my career, towards my goal, and build this relationship and just spend time with her? Or do I neglect or what seems to look like neglecting her so I can go and make this money to create a better and bigger lifestyle for us? And when you hear your lady making a comment saying like, seems like I'm on the side, you only loving your mic, it can weigh heavy. It can weigh heavy. Like, man, I'm trying, but it's difficult. It's difficult. So you got to find that balance in any type of relationship. Like, I don't know, just throwing suggestions out there. Like, maybe you do take a day off, or if you got the type of career that's flexible, like an entertainer, maybe you invite her on some of these, you know, out and abouts, tours, dates, clubs, whatever. And and I'm saying that to the entertainer dude. I'm saying that to your regular 9 to 5. You know, uh, but you got to find a way to build that connection, whatever it looks like, to kind of give that balance. So that's a part of the maintaining. And I think one thing that can help that is everybody, because of course the lack of attention. If you're not spending your time here, then where are you spending your time? What are you doing with your time? That lack of attention, that lack of quality time can sometimes create suspicion, which would definitely create an issue, create a problem. And I think one way to alleviate that is to, in a relationship, everybody has to have their own thing. Everybody has to have something that they're doing. So if he out there on the stage and doing his thing and doing his career, and she's feeling lonely at home and not, find what I don't want to say entertains you, but find what your passion might be. Find something that takes your interest and can occupy your mind when y'all aren't able to spend that quality time. And I'm saying this not just to the ladies. I'm saying this to men and women. If because it works just in reverse. If you have a lady who has a career that's very demanding and she's always doing X, Y, and Z, and you find yourself stuck at home or not being able to be around her, and you missing that connection or whatever, find something. You know, join a basketball league or something. Get in a gaming group or something. I don't know, but find something that you're passionate about that can take your mind off of the the lack of quality time that y'all are allowed to have. And I really feel Eve really broke that down. And I think it's the like bar 11 or whatever in this second verse. But she says, when you're out there in the world, I'm still your girl. With all my classes, I don't have the time for life's thrills. So when you sweating on stage, think of me when you rhyme. And she says, I forgot to mention that in the first verse. That's the whole reason why they met overseas. So Black Thought was over there performing and doing his thing, doing his rap thing, and she was over there. Eve, the lady of interest, she was over there taking classes, studying film, and following her passion, pursuing her dream. So back to this line right here in the second verse when she says, "When you're out there in the world, I'm still your girl. With all my classes, I don't have the time for life's thrills." She's following her passion, which allows her mind not to sit idle and be like, well, I wonder what he is doing. Yeah, he always dipping out in the middle of the night. He always on the flight. He always doing this and that. What is he doing? Who is he around? She ain't got time to entertain those negative thoughts because she's off doing her own thing. And because they've worked hard at developing that trust in the first verse and developing that trust as they've been together, they understand, okay, this is your passion. This is what you want to do. So go out and do it because by you following and pursuing your passion, it's going to come back and help our relationship grow because now we're having separate experiences that we can bring back to our unified experience and grow and learn more about each other and more about the world that we go out and see individually and bring that back together. So you got to have your own thing. You got to be out there. You can't be just um, booed up all the time. It's cool to be booed up. It's cool to spend time together and um, Netflix and chill or whatever, whatever. But y'all need every couple needs a break sometimes and an opportunity to go and do their own thing. So make sure when you're in a relationship you're doing that. That's what can help maintain that trust. Being able to go out, follow your passion, do your own thing, and then bring it back together and y'all share the experiences. Um, and in the final bar of the second verse, Eve, nah, I take that back. Black Thought comes back, and after saying all these things, he's hearing her talk, and they going back and forth in this conversation, and he says, "Yeah, so what you saying? I can trust you." And Eve's response is you crazy? You my king for real?" And then they combine together at the end of the verse and say, "But sometimes relationships get ill, no doubt," and that's the truth. Sometimes you got to sit back and you got to ask, man, can I really trust you? And through each other's words and actions, that's what's going to reaffirm that trust. That's what's going to confirm that, yeah, you can trust me. I got you. I know some of these relationships they get ill, they get um they get sidetracked, they get misdirected, but uh, I'm telling you, I'm reaffirming not only through my words but through my actions that yeah, this is something real. You my king, and you my queen. So you have to have that reaffirming faith. So we talked about developing. Main thing is being a man or woman of your word and doing what you say you're gonna do when you're gonna do it. So we talked about developing that trust. We talked about maintaining that trust, and basically the main thing is being able to have your own thing, being able to stay consistent, being able to hear each other out when they do feel some type of way. And this third thing, I think, is when this isn't developed, when this isn't nurtured, it can be the detriment of so many relationships, and that's learning how to defend the trust. Um, and I say this because we talked about these first two, developing and maintaining. A lot of that has required the energy from, you know, the man and the woman in that relationship. It's only required them two, so it's been easy to kind of keep it going because it's just y'all two. But when you have to defend that trust, is when some of those outside influences come in and they try to tear away at what this relationship is, what it's growing into for whatever reason. And sometimes it don't even be intentionally. It's just it is what it is. Um, and Eve said it in the going back to the second verse. Um, right after she was telling Black Thought, seem like I'm on the side, you only loving your mate. Right after she say those couple of bars, she flips to a conversation she having with her sister. And she say, while politicking with my sister from New York City, she says she know this ball player and he think I'm pretty. And that's the sly thing you got to watch out for is people will see what you're trying to grow and build. People will see what y'all have been developing and will completely disregard that. Like, yeah, you right. He always is getting on the flight. I know somebody who can treat you better. I know somebody who will probably be better for you and try and introduce you to that person. And if you're not on your guard, if that trust hasn't been developed or if that trust got broken somewhere along the way, somebody can fall victim to that. Somebody can fall victim to that. Just let me just introduce you to so and so real quick. I think y'all will make a good fit. You gotta meet my homegirl. You gotta meet my homeboy, whatever. And that is where a lot of relationships start to falter. Is that they allow those outside influences come in and say, yeah, I'm from what I'm seeing on the outside, it ain't really what it is. Go ahead and take this stride with me over here. But they not recognizing all the work and all the effort and all the true and genuine feel that has been put into this relationship. So be careful of those people you keep around you and what they try and introduce you to and how they support your relationship. And Black Thought comes in on the third verse. He starts off. He says that snake could be that chick, and that rat could be that cool cat that's whispering. She trying to play you for the food, Black. And a couple of more lines down, he says, and on the topic of trust, it's just a matter of fact that people bite backs and fracture what's intact. So true. So true. Sometimes, going back to that first line, he says that snake could be that chick and that rat could be that cool cat. Sometimes people have been through so many untrustworthy relationships that they looking at yours and they looking at the growth and the good that is happening and they just sitting in the weeds waiting on a way to find out how can they infiltrate, how can they um how can they uh, attack at the whatever weakness they perceive may be in the relationship. So you gotta watch your back. You gotta watch the so-called friends that you keep around you and the type of advice they try and put in your ear at the first sight of any conflict. Because I feel like a true friend, if they really down for your relationship and they really supporting your relationship, they go see conflict and they go try and give you advice on how you can mend it, how you can make it better, how you can rectify it, and they go hold you accountable and be like, yeah, you was wrong in that matter. You need to go back and try and really really fix that, and this is what might help. Um, so if you ain't getting that from your friends, you might want to look at them with a side eye and really check what their intentions are and really check what they feel about your relationship, especially if you know the relationship has been going good. It's been growing into something wonderful, and y'all had a little hiccup because that's what relationships do. They have hiccups here and there because ain't nobody perfect. Ain't nobody gonna always be in a happy mood or good. Everything ain't always gonna be going good. You know, I talked about that in the very first episode, the dichotomy thing. You know, everything got a left. Everything that went left got a right side. Everything that went up had to come down at some point. You know, so you can't jump ship at the first sight of any type of conflict, and anybody who supports that in your relationship, they may not have their best interests out. Uh, a little later in the verse, as Black Thought ends the verse, he says, I've seen people caught in love like whirlwinds, listening to their squads and listening to their girlfriends, and that's exactly the point where their whole world ends. Lies come in, and that's where the drama begins. And she's like, if you're worried about where I've been or who I saw, what club I went to with my homies, baby, don't worry, you know that you got me. Man, I'm telling you, every time I be around with, I gotta go into that. I gotta go into that chorus, man. That's y'all gotta hear Erica sing it though. Y'all gotta hear Erica, and y'all gotta go look up Jill singing her version of it. And it's like, oh my god, I wish them two would have been on the song together on the album, but you know, off track again. But as he ends it, he says, you know, that's exactly what a whole world in. And if you ain't, if you don't have enough strength and fortitude to go in and defend your trust, you know, people will start spreading them lies. That snake, that snake can be that chick. That rat can be that cool cat. That's when them lies start coming in. That's where that drama begins. Uh, be careful. Be careful what you feed into your mind from the outside influences. Be careful of how you got to recognize, keep your head on the swivel and see what it really is that's going on. Um, and one way to do it is the hardest but easiest thing to do. You gotta keep honest and open communication. You gotta be willing to talk to each other. If you got a suspicion about something, you have to be able to express that. If you've got hurt or offended about something, you have to be able to express that. That's the only way that love can grow. You can't hold that within and start making all these assumptions and build these narratives and stories in your mind that may not even be true, that could have all been squashed if you would have just had a little bit of open and honest communication. If you would have just said a little bit, and that's the last bar I want to go into today. Black Thought says it in the third bar, this third verse. He says, "If something's on your chest, then let it be known." That's it. It's that simple. Because if the love and the trust is real, whatever you say, whatever you get off your chest, it should not be taken as a dagger. It should not be taken as an attack. It should just be understood, okay, that's how you perceived it. That's what you felt. That was your emotion that was tied to it. What can we do to improve this so it doesn't happen again? And that's what a true relationship is about. That's the main ingredient to defending the trust in a relationship, is having that open and honest communication. Regardless if you feel like it's gonna hurt the other person, your feelings are your feelings, your emotions are your emotions. So express them. And because if it's real, it'll be able to withstand that. If y'all have taken the steps to develop and maintain, it's going to get defended. The trust is going to get defended. So, I mean, don't hold it in, because you hold it in, and then before you know it, something else happens that gets on your nerves. You hold that in, and then something else happens and gets on your nerves, and you've buried that in. And then before you know it, one thing can happen, one small, minor thing can happen, and boom, it all blows up. It's all out of there, and everything goes left. And it's even harder to pull back from that big blow up as it would have been if you would have just been open and honest from the get go. So, man, y'all please go out and check out this song. Y'all please go out and check out this song. I love this song. Um, I got a cousin. He uh he did a freestyle. He did a song, a mixtape a few years back off of this instrumental, using the hook, and that's still to this day one of my favorite songs that they put out. I might be covering them one day. I gotta see about that because them boys is cold. Um, but yeah, I really hope y'all got something from this. I hope that y'all have figured out ways that y'all can first of all understand what trust is, and then learn how to develop that trust, how to maintain that trust, and then what needs to be done in order to defend that trust. Um, man, yeah, that's all I got for y'all today. As always, man, I just want to say I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all for coming in and tapping in on this today. Um, we keep steamrolling at it, man. I feel it. I feel like it's getting better each time. I feel like it's growing. I'm feeling like I'm getting into my groove, and I'm shaking all the nerves off my shoulders and the jitters and everything. So those of y'all who are still sticking with me, not only to this episode but to this 40th or so minute of this episode, I appreciate y'all. I thank y'all. It's seen. It's loved, and man. I'm speechless. I have no words. I just say thank y'all. I just say thank y'all. Um, as always, y'all know this podcast can be found on YouTube, Spotify. We got all the links and everything in the comment section. Just make sure that you do one thing for me. One of these things. You don't have to do them all, but just do at least one of them for me. Like it, comment, share it, subscribe, whichever one of those you feel more comfortable with doing. Just drop it in and do that, man, and it'll be greatly appreciated. But until the next time, man, y'all know what it is, man. Y'all be easy, y'all be cool. Peace.